Listen, I gotta apologize for not giving any advance notice. This is a straight up live stream. No schedule, no nothing. But I wanted to talk about some deals, and I didn't want to let the night end before sharing with you guys what I saw as good deals. Hopefully, you are out there kind of capitalizing. Why am I so weirdly spaced? But I wanted to talk about a few things I came across. Won't be a long live stream, but let's get into it. I'm gonna share my screen because the first deal is just bananas. I mean, it's literally I gotta share the right one. Okay, boom, boom, boom. We're gonna jump into that one. We just gonna go ahead and add this joint. Now, All Power sent me this. I happen to have this in my possession. I just started using it. I'm still kind of getting accustomed to the deals. What's up, Nathan? What's up, Al Smoking? Uh, I'm just starting to get like familiar with it, but it is a crazy deal compared to like everything else that's out there, which is why I had to start with it. Like you can spend, they have this thing listed for $8.99. I have a link for this down in the description. If you want to grab anything that I share, you can just use that link and then navigate to whatever you want to buy that I may mention. That way, your boy get a few coins if you're into that kind of thing. I certainly understand if you're not. It's not a big deal. But it's $900 with a $400 coupon. Now, that's not this kit. My mouse just kind of hovered over it. This thing, let me just talk about it for a little bit because it's not the greatest watt hour capacity, just in terms of what we're used to for watt hour capacity on these bigger 1800 watt inverter power stations. It's 1152 watt hours. I have a bunch of these like 1000 watt hour power stations now. I have this one, the AllPowers R1500. I have the Vito Man 1500 quick something. Oops sent me their 1800, which is like very similar. What else? I just got a Yolanis or a Powerness. I think it's your Yolanis joint. They are really now. Not all of them have 1800 watt inverters. The Oops does, but some of the other ones have like 1500 watt inverters. But the capacity and the weight makes them really much more manageable than like my AC 200P from Bluetti or my Alcatel P2001 or whatever it is. So with these having 1800 watt inverters with only like about 1200 watt hours of capacity, it's like it's really more manageable. It's still got a little heft to it, but I could grab it with one hand and be okay, which I think I'm kind of a fan of. As I get bigger and bigger power stations, I really start to value my smaller power stations a whole lot more. Because some truckers be heavy, but this was a good middle ground. But the thing that's blowing me away on this is for what, $500 you could get an 1800 watt. That's blowing everything out of the water. And this thing has Bluetooth connectivity and Wi-Fi connectivity. Now the application for All Powers is a little weird. I haven't tried connecting Wi-Fi on it just yet. I need to kind of figure that out, and I haven't endeavored to do that. I've just been using Bluetooth. But it has an XT60 connector. I think it can take in up to 600 watts of solar. It's a 60 volt input limit, which is like, that kind of sucks. It would have been nice if it had like a larger voltage, but a lot of these power stations are doing 60 volts because they expect you to put these panels in parallel. They're also doing 60 volts because why? It is a little weird. It's a weird voltage. I really like Pecron's approach to giving you 95, but anyway, 1800 watt LiFePo Bluetooth connectivity, quick charge, XT60 connectivity, 4 AC outlets. I think it has 2 100 watt PD ports. The screen is nice. The screen does turn off, but this thing is it's pretty dope for $500. So if you were ever in a spot now, if you guys have been on the live streams before, I was talking about, and I'll talk about them again a little bit. I was talking about like the Delta 2 the Bluetti AC 180, I believe, and then that Anchor C1000. Those are all like on sale for $649. And it's a really good way for you to get 1800 watts of inverter power for a very affordable price. But this is like $150 cheaper. I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I can't say enough. I mean, it has wireless charging on the top. It is expandable. I don't think the expandable battery for AllPowers is out yet. Now, about AllPowers is really adding some polish to their line of products because they've been a budget-friendly kind of company for a long time now. But I think these products, these devices, based on the R600, are really starting to add some polish to their line. Now, they do have. Um, it's not a cheap feel to them. I don't even want to get close to saying that it's not cheap, but you could tell it's still cost effective, at least in my opinion. It's not as sturdy as some other devices. And now I'm really like towing the line when I say that because the build is really nice on it. I'm not complaining about the build, but you could just see a little bit of craftsmanship like right around the handles. I also don't like that and this is minutia at this point. I also don't like that the handles are kind of like concave. You can reach down up under them really deeply, and I'll have to show you it during the review. It's kind of strange. What's up, Jay? Um, I think this deal is bananas. And All Powers is a company that's been around for a while. I imagine if you have any warranty issues, they should be decent to work with. At worst, at best, they should be a pleasure to work with. Also, you guys, let me know if there's any devices that you grabbed on today or any solar panels that you grabbed on today. I'd be interested in what deals kind of tickled your fancy, so to speak. This one is on sale for $1,400. This is the new AC200L, which is a very impressive device. How do I feel about this? This $1,400 price point is really intriguing. You think about that, you're getting about double everything that you would spend on the Anchor, the 180, and the Delta 2. You're pretty much getting double, so you can't beat that. Now, when this price starts to go up back to the $1,600 that is typically intended to be, then it's a little more compelling to possibly get like a Bluetti and an Anchor, or a EcoFlow and a Anchor, so you could have. Mama, go ahead. It's okay. It may be more beneficial to have two devices versus one big device. But it just depends. That's my particular bent as a consumer of power stations. I kind of tend to like multiple devices than one big device. But one big device has its place. But the Anchor 200, the AC 200L is legit. I found myself looking at it like the improvements are not that great, but they are pretty good. You go up from like 900 watts of solar to what is it, 1200 watts of solar. You are still up at the 145 voltage or 150 voltage input limit. There's some sacrifices that some people have called out. The screen is different now. It's not this bad angle, direct field of view touch screen. The touch screen is nice because you get options and things like that, but to not have it be as like washed out as that screen is. I have the AC200P. It's pretty cool. I kind of like that. It's like I like the convenience of the touchscreen, but I'm also concerned about the touchscreen. So I like that this one has the buttons, but then um, it doesn't have the menu and the settings that you can go in. Now on the AC200P, I have the limitation of the voltage where it has to be about 35 volts or higher. The 200 Max does not have that, but the 200L also does not have that. So I think it's an interesting device. Did they get rid of wireless charging on it? I think they did. I watched Jason Noy's video about a day or two ago. There was also some inconsistencies that Hobotech found on the USB-C ports. I don't think he could do 100 watts on both of the ports, or maybe Jason Noy couldn't. Somebody I watched said that they couldn't. If you were doing it on one, you couldn't get that power on the other one, which is kind of rare for a device this big to do that. But I mean, there's also some issues. Someone pointed out the difference in the DC out on the device. So that's interesting. I don't really get into being worried about DC out, but it is a little different. So, but I think for $1,500 or what is it? $1,400. If you're in the market for a big power station, I don't think you can beat that. I don't even think anybody's really coming close to that in terms of the big three. I don't pay attention to Jackery, EcoFlows. I don't think, do they have I guess they have the Delta Max too. I wonder how much that is. I'll circle back to that in a second, but let's get through these joints. The EcoFlow Delta 2 is just here as a placeholder because the Anchor C1000 and the Bluetti AC180 are all on sale for about the same price as $650. If you remember, I did a live stream on the Anchor versus the Bluetti, and one thing that's different about the AC200L is it switched to XT60, whereas like the AC180 is still 8mm, I believe. Whereas like the Delta is XT60 and the Anchor is XT60. And XT60 is it's a more like comprehensive, better connection joint because it's typically sturdy. I have some loose XT60s, but it's typically a good snug fit on the XT60 connector. It's also rated for higher amps, I believe, than an 8mm cable. But anyway, these joints are $650. 1,800 watts, about 1,000 watt hours on all of those devices. So they're pretty comparable. You just need to pick your poison, so to speak. The EcoFlow River Pro is always a good look for me when it's $400. I'm really like impressed with that price relative to other devices because you get 700 some odd watt hours. It's always a good look when I talk to people and they're saying that, yeah, I'm buying the so on and so forth. I was looking at the EcoFlow River Mini, not Mini, the EcoFlow River 2 or the EcoFlow River Max. I'm always like, man, that Pro is $400. That would seem to me to be a good look compared to, I think me and Nathan may have actually been talking. I think he may have grabbed the base model, and then the guy who won the smart list, he bought a River 2 base model as well. But I was telling them, hey, you may want to look at the Pro because the base model was 179, and it's like 256 watt hours. Being 179 is pretty good. 169, I believe. It's 170. Being 169 is good, but you could jump up to 700 and some odd watt hours for just about double your money. So that's something to consider. But I think he still went with the base model because he had a very specific use case for having that. And then these EcoFlows, they have that auto AC on, which you can't beat. It's pretty dope. And this joint, Peck Ryan, it's not on sale, but I'm excited to mention it. We've talked about the Pecron before, but I just got my replacement back maybe about 2 weeks ago. And that's absolutely my fault because I took forever to return the device because it was so capable. I liked it so much. I was extremely hesitant to send it back. I would have loved that they had just sent me a device and then I could have sent that one back. But it didn't work that way. So I need to put that video out. But this device is just, I don't even have it on the screen. My bad. Let me add it back. That's my fault. My fault. This device is really impressive. I think it's the best. It might be the best way to spend $300 ever in a power station situation. Even when you look at it and you compare it to the EcoFlow River Pro, the EcoFlow River Pro has it beat in some ways, but it crushes it in other ways. Like the River Pro can only take in 220 watts of solar, It has 768 watt hours of capacity. It has app control as the auto AC on. Um, what I guess it has 4 outlets, whatever. It's an XT60 connector as well, but this Pecron can take in up to 400 watts of solar. It's like for people who are fans of solar, you can't beat that. It has a 600 and maybe 14 watt hour capacity, which is a little bit shy of the EcoFlow 768, but still. And the EcoFlow has like an 800 watt inverter. This one has a 1200 watt inverter. Now I'm gonna need to test it because I wonder if it's doing some judo kick flips when you get up to 1200 watts and it's dropping that voltage down. I can't remember if somebody talked about that, um, but it's still better than 800 watts. You could pretty much get away with a lot of stuff being powered off of this device compared to some other stuff. I had an issue with uh, my Duran that charges at 1200 watts. It could not charge from the Pecron. Whereas like I had some other devices that were like capped at 1200 that they could do it. So that was kind of weird, but I wasn't really invested in testing at the moment. And it was because it was in use. It was so freaking good to pull that solar in because it has a 95-volt input limit, which is bananas. Now, Hobotech did do some testing on it where he talked about how once you get up to about past 80 volts, the device starts to act weird and treat it as if it's one panel. I'm gonna try and test that in the video. I hope I can. Um, but my panels, most, you know, 24, or I should say 40, most 40-volt panels are about 36. So you would still be fine putting two big panels in series and not having a problem. But I'm going to try and test that. But this device, for somebody, man, you just think like my first big power station was the EB70. And I know it's not apples to apples because that was like 2, 3 years ago. I was excited about that EB70 when it cost like $499, I think, when it came out. That was exciting to get a 700 watt hour capacity joint that could take in 200 watts of solar for $499. This joint is $299 with 400 watts of solar that it can take in. And it can charge off of a 100 watt panel. They can't dual charge, but it has to go into the 5521 port. Now, it does have 5525 barrel connectors on the DC out. Most people don't use those. I use them, and it sucks to have 5525, but because I have a couple EcoFlows, I have a couple of those 5525 to 5521 cables, so I can use that just with this device and charge stuff up. What else is going on there? It has one 100 watt PD port, one 1800 watt PD port, and then two 18-watt USB A ports. Wireless charging on it. The EcoFlow does not have wireless charging. And that's pretty much it. No flashlight, no app control. But still, man, this thing, it would crush it in any realm of the, like, anybody who has 400 watts of solar, two 200 watt panels, two 100 watt panels, this thing will crush. So I put it in here because I think it's dope. And I don't know. I'm really impressed with it. I really am. So here are some solar panels deals that I came across. You have like the Renogy joints that are $75. That is not the cheapest that I've seen them, but $75 if you want Renogy, you could kind of grab a couple of those. I've seen some other good cell phone panel deals that have caught my eye. We're gonna get into them in a little bit. Not this one. I don't like this deal. I mean, I guess you could be into that, but we talked about this last time during Prime Day. For me, to get a bifacial 450 watt panel for $640 is bananas. And I was as shocked last time when they went on sale. If you're the kind of person who has power stations that could take in this high voltage panel, which is probably like Let me see if I can find it real quick so I don't have to guess. 75 inches by 44. It's a little bit on the tall side, which is fine. I like that 66-inch joint. I need to find this voltage real quick. Did I miss it? 585 watts total is possible depending on how you angle it. 24 volt. Okay, so it's 41 volts open circuit, which is pretty good. A lot of my panels are 13, so it's 41 volts open circuit, and then 15 amps. That'll probably realistically be about 37 volts under load, and maybe about, no, that's not 15 amps, that's 13 amps. It'll be about 13, 12, 11 amps or something like that at about 38 volts. It should tell me that, but it doesn't. Now, the thing about these panels is, if you have a power station that can take up to 150 volts, if you have a Pecron that could take in up to like 95 volts, if you have one of those other Pecrons that has the dual MPPTs on it, you could hook both of these panels into the separate MPPTs. I think the Pecrons do that. And so if you have the voltage capacity on your power station, and you are in the mindset of buying 100-watt panels, 200-watt panels from Amazon, which a lot of us are, you could buy these from Amazon and put yourself up in the big leagues if you have the space for what? It's 900 watts of solar, and that's just the front facing. It's bifacial, so you get extra power on the back. This price like boggles my mind. To be able to get panels this big delivered to your house for less than $1 a watt, it's unheard of. It's unheard of. To be in the game for like a serious solar setup for this amount of money is crazy. It really is. And I hope that this is a trend that continues in the solar industry. I hope these 100-watt panels keep getting cheaper. And I hope these big old panels being able to be shipped. I think it was free shipping on this joint. I'm not signed in over here, so it may not tell me. Let's see. I think that's fantastic. Let me see what y'all snapping and trapping about. Hey, Grand Acres, what's happening? I had to pick up that AllPowers. Which one? Hey, Cat Eyes, always good to see you. I'm fine. The family is fine. We all doing fantastic. I was wondering if you was going to do a live with the Black Friday sale. Yeah, I wanted to do one. I wanted to do one yesterday, but the day just didn't line up that way. I was probably knocked out for some point uh, during the evening. And then once the evening comes around, I take care of the nighttime routine typically. So I was into that. And I think after that, I went to bed. I'm not sure. Maybe me and the missus hung out for a little bit. I think we did hang out for a little bit. But I wanted to do one yesterday, and then I was debating on doing one today, and I was like, man, that AllPowers deal was the main reason why I had to jump on a live stream. I think that's a fantastic deal to spend $500 and you relatively have the peace of mind that you could run your fridge, you could run a window AC, you could get in a good amount of solar and relatively be squared away for $500. That's just dope. So I was like, let me try and make a live stream happen. That's why I called it better late than never. So Kevin, have a question. Black Friday sale, which one would you get? That's a good deal. Give me some context. I didn't catch it when you asked it. Is the Pecron not this one, not the 600-watt one? It does not have battery expansion. I imagine, Cat Eyes, you may be talking about the Anchor versus the Bluetti versus the EcoFlow. I immediately rule the EcoFlow out because that fan is so doggone loud. You cannot have that in a main space where you're concerned about airflow. I mean, you would tolerate it if it's the only device you had and you absolutely needed power. But if I had to choose, Bluetti is really getting really good about having like that 40 dB sound thing that they stick to. My AC 60 and the expansion battery, I almost never hear the fan. I don't run large loads against it, but when it gets to charging and stuff like that, if it's on standard charging, which is about 400 watts, that thing is still quiet. I don't have any issues with it fan wise. What is bifacial? So bifacial just means that the panel has two sides on it. It has the main side of the panel that gets power, and then the back side is clear, so that when the sun hits it, if you have it on the right surface, kind of up off of the ground, some of that sunlight, instead of just hitting the panel and bouncing off, it goes through the panel, hits the ground, and bounces back to the panel. So you could get 500 or so watt hours in a good situation. Let me show you their little infographic about it. You can see here up to 585 watts. You can also see that they talk about how these things are zoned, which is pretty cool if that's true. Because typically you'll get a panel that has half cut cells, and that just means that the top side of the panel, if the top side is shaded, then the bottom is still going to produce. If the bottom side is shaded, then the top can still produce. But this looks to have like 6 different zones. Whether that's true or not, I can't imagine Renergy would lie about it, but that's pretty cool if it is, because then you would get, yeah, you get a good bit of your panel that will still produce power, which is actually pretty good. My Bruges RV is split cell, that 400 watt, and it would be nice to have that in my front yard, and I don't. Just because the 300 watt panel is hooked into my EcoFlow River 2 Max, and it maxes out at 220. So it doesn't make sense to put a 400 watt panel on that. Now my 300 watt panel typically will max it out if it's angled really good and if it's a sunny day. They could get a little higher than that, but it'll max it out. But for the most part of the season, it has not been maxing it out. It'll get about 200, 210. You might see 220, but on most days it's like 180, 190. I shouldn't say on most days, on the most situations, because my sun being lower in the sky, the joint kind of sits upright, leaned up against my fence for the most part. But if I had a split cell, a lot of times I get shade in my front yard because the sun is like low behind my house. So my front yard is completely covered in shade for a lot of the day. And then sometimes I start to get shade, and shade is only on half the panel. So if that top half, if it was a split cell, I'd be able to get that top half of power, even though the bottom half is blocked. But now, because that panel that I have up there, those Hyundai panels, they're not split cell, then, I just don't get any power until the whole panel has sun on it. All right, all right, all right, all right. Hey, Tia. It's good to see you. Let's see. I talked about that. Not my Pecron. It does not. Health, light, and bliss. I appreciate that. I'll take that. Hey, Sharp Army, what's happening? You always apologizing. No need to apologize. I'm just glad you're here. What's up, man? Regenerative Life Wayne. Good to see you, sir. I have to swing back to your channel. Regenerative Life Wayne has a YouTube channel. He is focused mostly on like growing stuff in his garden or whatever. If you want to describe your channel, sir, please do it again. We could get some people who are into that over to your channel to check you out. You see, okay, cool. Setai just sent me a message. I should let him know that I'm live. Why not? 1 second. All right, let's swing back. Swing back. Swing back. Wrong page. Back over here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Love these evaluations. I appreciate that, Kevin. It's good to know things are helpful to you guys. Oh, okay. Sharfar made doubling down on hitting the like joint. Appreciate that. Vito Man Jump 600X is in my house and I am learning a lot. That's what's up. That's nice. Now, I thought, weren't you thinking about getting a bigger one, or did you settle on the smaller one just to kind of get your feet wet? Which is dope. I mean, it's always a good experience to get into solar and start learning about how things work. Sorry, it's the power station. Which one would you get? That's a good deal now. If I had to buy a power station today, I would get the All Powers hands down. You can't beat $500 for what that power station can do. You can't beat it. Um, I have the 600-watt panel, which is what I've been using to charge it. The 600-watt panel is a beast. It's huge. So because I have other huge panels in my yard, I'm running out of panel real estate, which is a wonderful issue to have. But it's nice to be able to throw that panel out there and plug it in. It uses XT60. That's the one that I would buy, hands down. Now I'm not necessarily um, like I saw the EcoFlow Delta Pro, I believe, was like $2,300, and I'm like, I can't personally get past when the Kickstarter came out. It was $2,000. So if it ain't going on sale for $2,000, I'm just like, okay. I mean, when it first came out, it was $2,000 on the Kickstarter from EcoFlow. That's why I kind of miss Kickstarters. I mean, you take a risk with messing around with that stuff, but EcoFlow was never going nowhere, ever. So, I wish I was able to get that. And many of you guys who've been around for a while, I was almost gonna buy the AC 200P. No, I was gonna buy the AC 200 Max when it was on its Kickstarter joint because it was like 1,600 or something like that. Um, but then me and my wife kind of weren't on the same page about it, so that kind of fell through, which I'm glad about. Oftentimes, sometimes when I'm resolved to buy things, a few months later, I'll get something similar to it. That doesn't always work out, but it makes me start to question whether I should start spending money. Like there was this bifacial panel that was local to me. And I'm like, man, with these bifacial panels kind of coming onto the market a little more frequently, I may be offered a bifacial panel in the future. Maybe Bouge RV is going to have one and they'll send me one. I don't know. So why buy a panel? Money I don't necessarily have an abundance of. But I was entertaining buying one. It was on the used market. It was a decent price, but it was gonna be nice to get something that was different to test and all that jazz. But I just held off on it. I was basically like, if I have the money and it's still available, I'll weigh it a little more seriously. And I was weighing it a little more seriously, and then they sold. They went out of stock. Out of stock. All right. Did you look at EcoFlow and Blue Eddy home kits? I don't really pay attention to those because I feel like they're not. I'm not saying that most of my people wouldn't be interested in that, but I don't think most of my viewers are interested in those like big old systems. We pretty much want power for emergencies. And if when we start to have that stuff, then we use the power to kind of bring down our electric bill a little bit. We also like just having it charged up for like power outages and things like that. I don't see a lot of my people being into spending as much as they will have to spend to get any of those home kits. I kind of like watch the videos and stuff like that, but it doesn't really appeal to me. Um, in that I don't realistically see. I can't lie, but that's a little distracting. Just a little bit. It's okay. Who's that talking? Oh my gosh. He sounds like a mix between Preston and KB. Like I'm just hearing a voice that sounds kind of familiar, but he's talking a little fast. I will never watch one of that dude's videos. Anyway, um, yeah. I don't know why. I guess in my realm of reasonability, I can't see spending that much power being a person who is on grid. Um, I don't see it. I see that as more of a solution for somebody who's looking to be off grid, maybe like a van dweller in some capacity, who wants like a very easy plug and play, but build your own system out where you have these components that you can kind of stack and things like that. I don't see the majority of my folks going that way. I think if you're gonna be into DIY, you'll probably just get a server rack battery and do it all in one. I don't think you're gonna buy Blue Eddy or EcoFlow's fancy kind of prepackaged as somewhat of a premium solution. I don't really see that being the appeal. I don't see that appealing to a lot of people, to be honest. But what do I know? You know, what I mean, I like power stations. That's my kind of lane. What's up, John? Let's see which one. Hopefully, I answered that. What's up, DIY with batteries? It's been a minute, man. How you doing? How's life to you? What you been up to? Get my feet wet first. Nice. That's what's up. Yes, he does. He does stuff more so like with batteries. Like he'll take a. I haven't seen his content in a while. Hopefully, you're back in the swing of making things. But he'll take like 18650s and these like I wish I had a joint around, but I don't. These batteries, and he'll put stuff together. If you're familiar with Jehu and what he does with those big old whatevers, he kind of tends to do things on a smaller scale. Like, but I let him describe the channel. But he does have a channel. It's somebody I came across when I first got into YouTube. That's for sure. All right. I thought this was interesting as well. New power, 100-watt panel. Y'all know I like. You may not know, but I like these like more squarish form factors. I like the rectangles too, but this stuff is cool when you get like a relatively compact panel, especially when you're into the smaller power stations. Like you got maybe a EcoFlow River 2, and you just getting your feet wet, and you got a 100-watt panel. Someone like Tia having like that Vito, man. I don't know how much solar it can take in, but you just want to get a panel. You're starting off small. These little small panels are nice to be able to throw out in the yard, lean up against things. And because they're more square, it leaves less surface area to get shade on it, especially if you have a very constrained area. The longer your panels are, if you don't go vertical, you kind of run into a situation where you could have a panel that's, this type of ratio, and it could get shade on this end, and then it starts to cause problems. And even if you go tall, you got shade coming from an overhang of a porch or something like that. Sometimes these little square panels are much easier to kind of maneuver into a space where you could get some sun and get some power. That's my experience with it. Y'all know I started with these 50-watt, 100-watt panels. So $60 for a 100-watt panel is pretty good. Now, the AllPowers 400-watt is on sale. It's a good panel too. Remember, AllPowers is a more budget-friendly brand. You could tell that by the pricing. This is a 400-watt panel listed for $469 with a $70 coupon. So you're pretty much getting $1 per watt on a folding panel. Now, I don't particularly like this panel because it's a 5-panel joint for 400 watts. I'm not a big fan of that, but it's only $400. Now, who this is for, in my opinion, is someone who every now and then needs a lot of power, or as much power as they can get in a portable form factor. So I would think someone like less stuff, more freedom, living the van life. Like he's out on the road. He'll pop in a place here and there to like charge up a power station. But if he needed a whole bunch of power, like sparingly, then this is a good way to go. I think this one is PET. I don't think it's ETFE, but it's $1 a watt. So if you sparingly need power, I think it's interesting. It's just huge. And I don't like the 5-panel array. I'd much rather have a 400-watt that's 4 panels. But, that's just me. And here we have another contender, Bourgeois V. I've always been intrigued by their little 100-watt panels because I like the form factor on them. Again, I like that it's tall and it's relatively small. But I've gotten away from 100-watt panels. Even though I'm tempted from time to time, I just know I don't need to be buying 100-watt panels. at all. And this one is $70. There's typically, I've seen these for about like $90 to $99. They're a pretty good panel. I think Jason Owen did a video on them. He reviewed them. I don't have them. Now, what I did get is Bourgeois sent me two of these. And I'm really looking forward to having these because I'll have two of the same size. Now, I have two flexible panels. I have a Renogy Flex panel. Actually, they're both Renegys. I got the Renogy Black Division, and then I got the Renogy normal looking one. But they sent me two of these. They're sitting in my hallway right now. I just have to unbox them. And I want to unbox them on video, so it makes me not mess with them yet. But look at this price for these flexible panels. These flexible panels used to be approaching $2 a watt, just like folding panels. Think about like the SunPower cells. The 100 watts was like $180, and then those Renogy ones that I bought them because they were on sale for like 135, 129, one something or another. And whenever I saw that, and I like to try different panels just for the community and for the culture. Like, I've been getting a lot of press on my Renogy flexible panel, the white one, because the white one does not sit flat. It sits kind of, is that concave or convex? It sits kind of like that, and I never liked that about that panel. And then you got these weirdos on YouTube who come on to comment, and people are just being weirdos. They come on and they're like, "Oh my gosh, he bought a flexible panel and it's flexible. The horror. What did you expect?" I'm just like, if only you got it. But that's the beautiful thing about me is like, as videos get exposed to more people, I understand wholeheartedly that I ain't make that video for you. You know what I mean? It's like you can't take the video out of the context of what it was made for. I was trying a different style of panel for the solar community. I don't even like flexible panels all like that. My value is centered in rigid panels because they last for 20 years. So I was trying out a flexible panel just to see what it would be like, and I wasn't impressed. And they're like, "Oh, a guy bought a flexible panel and he didn't, and now he's mad that it flexes." But I have the Renogy Black Division, which is one more flexible than the plain white one, and it lays flat. So it's just like, it's not just about the fact that that panel is flexible, it's the manner in which it's flexible. And there are panels that are flexible from that style of design, the white kind of background with the cells in them, that they lay flat. Like my SunPower 50 watt lays flat. My Renogy 100 watt does not lay flat, and I don't like it. I also need to figure out, um, I'm kind of paying attention to my boxes as they come and looking at boxes, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to give that 100 watt away. It's going to be interesting to ship something that, if you don't handle it very well, can break. But I mean, I'm not using it, and if I'm not using it, then somebody else could have it. That's how I feel about it. Especially since I got these two from Bourgeois, and they have essentially replaced my Renogy white and my Renogy Black Division. So it'll be like a nice pair. And I have the AllPowers. I'll get to that in a second. Let me do. Let's just roll on. Um, I thought this was interesting too. I have the Elecanta 120 watt panel, but I've been eyeing this 300 watt. So this is another option for you guys who are interested in having something portable but could put out a lot of power. This is a 300 watt panel for $449, which is, that's okay price wise. Let me see, an extra $150. So yeah, it's I think it's still fine. And that Elecanta panel is one of my favorites. I really enjoy using that one. This one is a little bit different because it goes XT60 to XT60, and then you'll adapt XT60 to MC4. You could adapt XT60 to Anderson, or 8 millimeters, probably what that is. I wonder what the voltage is. I mean, it's not blow you away. It's not a blow you away kind of deal, but I would think that this Elecanta will hold up a lot longer than say going with a more budget-friendly brand. So I'd probably be willing to use this a little bit more than say like the AllPowers. The AllPowers I would use sparingly, or you just have to be okay with it degrading over time, which will take you a long time, but it's not like rigid panel long time. I hammered that last video, that last one, over like 18 to 24 months. So I expected it to degrade. Let's see if we can get some specs here. This has to be like a 40-volt panel. It's not going to be 12-volt. So it'll need to be used on something that's more capable voltage wise. Yeah, it lists things like the Delta Pro Max, the 767, 757 by Anchor. I love flat panels just from the standpoint of the fact that they're easily deployed and laid flat. I do sometimes angle them because I'm just greedy, but I love the fact that if I wanted to, I could just lay it flat and get a decent amount of solar in such a small footprint that I can carry. It's a larger footprint when you lay it out, but such a small footprint that I could carry and get outside more easily versus messing around with two 100-watt panels. That I love the fact of just having one panel that I could just grab, toss out there, get some extra power, some bonus power because of all of these widgets that are laying around. Let me see. Let's see here. Okay, here we go with the specs. Yeah, see the open circuit voltage on here is 48 volts, and then the amps is about 10 amps. So typically, once you get past 200 watts, you start to get into like the 40-volt panels or 24-volt panels, right? And then this is the monster, the 600-watt joint. Now, what's going on with the coupon here? I think this changed. They be putting this on sale, but they don't keep it on sale for long. Let me check this where I'm logged in to see if the price varies because I feel like I saw this cheaper. And every time I get tempted to say I saw this cheaper, it's at this price where it's like $900. Yeah, see, okay, cool. It is listed if you have Prime for $659. So this price over here that y'all see, $899, is because I'm not logged in. So 659 is crazy in and of itself for the 600-watt panel. Now they say it's PET. I'm sorry, they say it's ETFE, but it doesn't have the ETFE feel or sound to it. That coating that's on most of our ETFE panels. So it makes me wonder, but you don't have to. I assume you don't have to have that type of like rubbing. I got a panel around here, but it's by the door. You don't have to have that little sound on it or that honeycomb kind of feel for it to be ETFE, I suppose. But it gives me cause for pause because it's a smooth finish. Because most PET panels have that kind of smooth finish on them, and a visual or physical designation of ETFE is that honeycomb feel. But this on here, I can't show you because that's not the screen I'm sharing. But in the when you're logged into Prime, this joint is $659, and they give you holy smokes, it's $659 with a $150 coupon. I thought it was just like a $60 coupon. That's bananas. This is a high voltage panel as well, so you're gonna have to plug it into something. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry, guys. This is confusing. Oh no, okay, 600. Yes. I'm seeing their power stations would say 4,000. So yes, this panel on Prime is $659 with a $150 coupon. Now, guys, it is huge. It's a big panel once you unfold it. And here's a downside of this panel. I guess I need to have it up here to show you. Looking at this panel, you would think that how it's wired, it would be wired where these panels are kind of dependent upon each other and these panels are dependent upon each other. But in actuality, this panel and that panel is connected in some way. I would assume in series. Your tendency, I tend to lay this panel out in a point where I lay it horizontally So if shade approaches, it approaches from like up here or down here. So if any shade encroaches on this panel, I think it's a bad design in my opinion, but I have to think about that after reserve judgment. If any shade approaches from down here, then the whole kind of string goes out because these panels are in series. I hope I'm explaining that well enough, but I'm just sharing with you the impact. So what actually ends up happening is I have to turn the panel instead of long ways, which is how I would like to lay the panel out on the ground. I typically have to turn it this way so that if the top two panels get shade on them, then the bottom four still get power. I hope that makes sense. So it's an odd design, but I believe the device is designed. Let's look at the pictures from there if they have it up here. Yeah, you see how they have it laying on the van? That's not ideal with this design because once you get shade on any part of this, then that all of that is impacted. Hey, you creeping? You got to talk to me. Yes. You want to come up? What you eating?
Back.
Yeah, that's my microphone. Don't touch it.
Okay.
Don't touch it.
Okay.
You want to say hi?
Hi.
You see?
Yes.
The camera's up here. And you got to wave up here. Say hi.
Hi.
So I'm not the biggest fan of the design, but with it being so large, you just have to basically account for not having it be obstructed by shade. So I don't think it's wired together in the best way. But if you happen to grab one of these, you just want to make sure you put it in a lot of sun. You don't want to have it like potentially be shaded by anything because that will cause a problem. Really? Your ears? He's so silly. All right, on to the next one. Get out of here. Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Oh, you got minimized. The Alriska is on sale. It's typically about $169. Huh? No, I'm not bringing it back. It's not about you. But it's on sale for 140. I have this panel. I just did a video on it. And it performs like a 200-watt panel. It gets about 80% output, maybe a little bit less because of the winter sun. And where I'm, come on. No. And during this season, possibly my solar output is not great. I need to get one of those watts per meter squared devices so I can start measuring the intensity of my sun, so I can make more informed decisions about how well these panels are performing. But it performs like a 200-watt panel. Whatever 200-watt array I have, they typically perform. They give me about 136, 140. And that's across multiple devices. That's across two panels in parallel, two panels in series, maybe give or take. But even my 200-watt Bouge panel that's at the front of the house is performing in a very similar way. So it doesn't shock me that this panel produces the kind of power that it produces. It's a 200-watt panel, $140, and it has a different design. It has a more square design on it than the typical panels that are tall and narrow. If you saw the video, you know what I'm talking about. I thought this was a really good deal. Again, we talked about these flexible panels getting cheaper, whereas like they used to be a lot more expensive, approaching like $200, 180, so on and so forth. But AllPowers has a 100-watt joint that's going for about 130, and they sent me the 200-watt joint, and the quality on that one is really nice. I recorded the video. That video will come out soon. It's really nice. It's almost looking like exactly like my Renogy Black Division style of panel. Now, how it holds up over time should be fine, to be honest. I hammered my Black Division and I hammered my Renogy just regular 100-watt flexible panel, and they do fine. I mean, they don't perform great, but I think that has a lot to do with not being able to angle them well because they're flexible. Me at my particular latitude and longitude, I'm in Western PA, so I feel like I don't get great. It's not Nevada where the sun is banging on some Habib Marwan stuff. They perform fine, and the quality on it is really nice. Now this one, let's see what this one. Okay, yeah, this one. These panels come with these straps, these Velcro straps. Do I have them around? Yeah, I do. I got some around. They come with these Velcro straps, and you can see if you look closely, they don't have the typical carabiner holes. They have these like vertical slots that these straps go into, which is it's cool. I would almost rather if the holes could fit carabiners in them as well. Um, but that's just my thought. I'll talk about that in the video that I'll put out soon. And I have the 200-watt one. What else? They're nice panels. The quality on them is really nice. I feel like AllPowers has been doing the budget-friendly stuff for a while. Maybe they're getting to the point where they can kind of grab and buy better designed, better produced products at a still an affordable rate. Now, the 200-watt panel is not as appealing price-wise, but it's still actually good because it has a coupon on it. So you got the 200-watt flexible panel that has a 20% off coupon. $260, $26 a pop. You're pretty much getting down to $200. So, and I didn't even think about this. This is the better deal to grab. $200 for a flexible panel. That's really nice. And guys, I haven't had any real issues with my flexible panels degrading or anything like that. And that's another reason why I bought. Am I out of focus? That's another reason why I bought flexible panels to try them out, because if you go and you Google, you look up on YouTube, Will Prouse. Don't come over here with that. Hey, Adele, don't come over with that. I don't need that noise. Go somewhere else. Thank you. Will's thing about the flexible panels was they just fell apart over time. So that's another reason why I bought those Renogy flexible panels, just to see what would happen. And they've been outside, rained on, snowed on, not necessarily flooded on, but they've been in my driveway, and my driveway tends to get water build up in it, and they've been working fine. They haven't. Now maybe they're reduced in their capacity, but I haven't seen the panel deteriorate in any way. Like they typically fall apart for van lifers. Like if you look at, I think the channel's name is like RV with Tito or something like that. He has videos, but those videos are 4, 5, 6 years old now, where these panels would just fall apart on these people. But my panels have been holding up. So there's that. I think if you have a real a setup that is friendly towards being able to use these flexible panels, it's pretty good. And the thing that's great about them is you can keep them out in the weather just like rigid panels. They're not as strong and as durable as rigid panels, but you don't have to, you know, scurry them up and bring them in like some folding panels. Some folding panels are weatherproof, but the material on the folding panel is typically very prone to getting dirty. Whereas like these flexible panels, you could probably just wipe them down and they'd be fine. I mean, they wouldn't be pristine the whole time, but it's better than having that cloth on the back of a folding panel. So I like these a lot better than that. Just being able to throw those out in the elements, run a wire in through a window, and you ain't got to worry about gathering that up every time. Also, a good thing about these panels is they have a relatively low profile just from a security standpoint. Most people, unless they're paying very close attention to you in your business, they won't know what that is come nighttime. They may see something in the daytime, but nighttime it's not easily discernible, especially if it's a black panel like these are. Case in point. And then This is something I came across. That's just an accessory that I discovered that seems incredibly dope to me. I almost want to buy one just to try it out, but I'm not because this company has reached out to me for their batteries. So I kind of want to be like, hey, I would do a video for your batteries, but can you send me a few of these cables? These cables are fantastic just in terms of like what they represent. I've never had one. I kind of want to order one just for the culture. I probably will, cause I don't have a whole lot of cables running in through my door, but there's at least two places where this would be fantastic to have these. My front door has a 5521 extension cable on it, which runs through my door pretty good. Um, and I like it because it's relatively flat. So it's a two-strand cable, not like your normal circular MC4 extension cable. So it's a two-strand cable that sits relatively flat, so I can put that under my door and have it. The power station right there by the door is my EcoFlow. My EcoFlow is not in my living room because it is loud. If any of you know kind of what it is, it's a problem. So I took it out of the living room. It has never come back into the living room. Right now in the living room is the AC60. I've gotten like quite a few power stations. So once I can make all of these videos, then I can start to put them in more permanent places. Because one thing I don't like doing is putting power stations in permanent places and then having to take them out to do the video. So I just don't bother with kind of thinking about it. I wait till I finish the video. But these cables, even at my back balcony door, would be helpful because I have two panels out there. They're not really panels that are conducive to using MC4 cables. But why you seem like a busybody?
I am, but I'm coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm about to bring all my bags,
Huh?
all my bags to show what I got for Black Friday.
You know that's not going to happen, right? I don't know why you believe that's going to happen.
Teasing. I'm not.
I just got to be, you know what I mean? I got to be clear about what's happening here.
What y'all talking about?
This cable right here to be able to run cables into doors and windows a little more easily.
Ooh, I
This
like that 'cause
didn't
they're flat.
exist. This didn't exist like a year or so ago. And this company reached out to me about some batteries, so I wonder if they'll send me a few of these.
Yeah. 'Cause
I
you
may
need
just
to-
buy one just to get a feel for it instead of waiting for them to respond. What you think?
I feel like I don't know. I like free stuff. You know.
$15 is a lot for this short of a cable.
Oh really? And that's like between the window, right?
I wouldn't use it for the window
Why not?
because I need them more at the door.
Yeah. Well, that window up going upstairs, it's like you can see daylight around the wires. So when it get cold, you need to find a solution for that. Hey guys, good evening. Happy Black Friday.
That's weird.
Happy Black.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that. I don't know. The misses. Let me see if I missed any comments. Let's see.
Bateria?
Where you see that at?
The name of the wire.
Oh, I say Bateria.
Really?
Because it's battery. And it ends in IA.
Okay, but not two T's though. I feel like just a C away from bacteria.
That's a fair point. This is what she's talking about. The name. I guess that's fair. So did I not answer your question, Cat Eyes? Because I feel like do me a favor. If I didn't, just ask me the full scope. So which one as of watts and size? I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. I purchased a 100 amp 12 volt lifetime lithium battery in a bodega cooler. Oh, okay. Wi-Fi freezer for Black Friday deals. Save lots of money. Got what I wanted. That's what's
I
up.
like that. Save lots of money.
So it says, yeah, bro, my career brought me way too far. Oh, really? From my home. It will take some time to make videos. How is your neighbor's dog, by the way? I know, right? He's
Oh, what
always
happened?
barking.
Oh.
He just commented on one of the videos, like that dog agrees or he really likes you or something like that.
Can't stand them dogs.
They need to shut up. I
It's
have
like we live right next door. Y'all should be used to us by now. Like, knock it off.
Never. I have a Thunderbolt 100-watt rectangle panel to start from Harbor Freight. Good luck with that, because those Harbor Freight panels are SAE. So, is the Vito Man SAE or the Tolman? Go ahead and gift that 100-watt panel. I'll be a bridesmaid jumping up for singles. So,
Oh, I get it now.
I guess.
Like if you were tossing the 100-watt panel, she'd be like in the crowd trying to.
Oh, true.
Yeah. I like the glasses, by the way. I need to get me some red ones.
What kind of panels do you have, Grand Acres? Do you have any solar panels? I know you said you got your solar adapter for the power station that you won. You won the... I forget who it was. It was a Blue Eddy style power station, but it wasn't from Blue Eddy. We'll talk. I can make that happen, I think. But it depends on what you have. Let me know what you have. I need a lightweight and easy to carry. Yeah, the problem with the flexible panels is you got to be able to figure out a way to keep them flat. And this 200-watt flexible panel that I have can kind of be leaned up against things, but you don't want it to start to bow and buck because you're not leaning it up against a flat surface. So if this is your wall or your whatever, when you lean it, it may start to sag or... So you kind of want to be careful with that. But they're stupid light. It's ridiculously light. Very cool hair. Thank you. Let's see. I'm going to order some of those cables. Will come in good use. Thanks for showing them. Yeah, it's fantastic. They cost too much. If they were like $10, they probably couldn't keep them on the shelves. That's crazy.
It's a $5 difference.
Yeah, it matters. I think. Hey, Siobhan, it's been a while in live. Thanks for posting the cables there. The cables are fire.
Hi, Siobhan.
Let me give y'all a link since y'all let these cables. You feel me? Let me get some of that that commission action. Okay, one of those 100-watt panels with the cloth outer skin. Okay. I do have the AC 180. Nice. The power station you said was $500. What's the spec on that power station? The link is actually in this description, Cat Eyes, but it's stacked. It's pretty much like the AC 180, the Delta 2, and the Anchor C1000, but for $250 less. They buckle really badly, yeah. I'm having a hair rant.
Thank you. I'm letting my hair grow out, so I'm able to get back into it.
Absolutely not. It's not overkill. No, not at all. You have the Vito Man. That one takes Anderson. This one takes XC60. You could easily, spend a few dollars to get you an MC4 to Anderson and XC60 cable. They typically come in like Anderson, XC60, and like 8mm. And then you could just swap them out as you need to, or you could have separate situations where you have them in different zones of your house, like I do. But I think the Vito Man was $750. It's on sale for $750.
Water?
No, I could use some juice or something.
You can use some water.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I know I can feel my mouth tastes dry. So
you need water, not juice.
Explain the AC 200p volts and watts. Let's see. Okay, so I did talk about it at the beginning of the live stream too, Cat Eyes. But just to recap, it can take in up to 600 watts of solar via XT60. It has a 60 volt limit, so it's kind of like eh. Uh, it is a 1800 watt inverter, which is dope, with an 1172 watt hour capacity battery. It has, thank you. It has four outlets, two USB 100-watt PD ports. I don't think it has wireless charging. It's down in my basement. I had it outside plugged into the AllPower 600-watt panel. I think I said the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectivity. It's not super heavy. This is all stuff I talked about at the beginning of the joint. But the thing that really blows me away is how much solar it can bring in that 1800 watt inverter. The 1800 watt inverter for $500. And it really outside of the device just having an issue, it has very it doesn't have any shortcomings really. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so I don't think it's overkill at all. I really don't. I know that the Vito Man has 1500 watt hours. This one has about 1100 watt hours. You just, yeah, having two of those brings your peace of mind up tremendously. And they both charge via just an AC cable. So if you have a storm approaching or you have a possible power outage or something like that, you could quickly charge them from the wall. You can, Cat Eyes, you can adjust the speed of the charge. That's also pretty cool. I can appreciate that, which I don't think you could do on the Vito Man or the Tolman. I think you can get it down to about 400 watts. It's like 400, 1,000, and then the full 1400 or 1800 or whatever it can take at the high level. Thank you. Luckily, we're both decent looking people because being a mix may not be a good thing if both of us weren't decent. May I ask, which is good for one who is just starting, looking for, I'm thinking a 1500 watt to 1800 watt to run a fridge and some fans, room heaters. You can't get away with room heaters really on these power stations. Just mainly want to be ready if we go dark. Now, what you can get away with is a low power heater. You get something that can use about 200 to 400 watts. And then if you had to like hang out in your bathroom, then you could do that. Or you could create a micro environment with like a tent. Or if you have a situation where you have kids and there's a bunk bed or something like that, you could drape some sheets over stuff. I mean, if it got like really real, you could do that over a table. So you could create like a little microclimate where those little low power fans could heat that area up pretty effectively. But even still, that's 200 to 400 watts. If you go off a standard heater, their lowest is about 6 to 750 watts. So if you got a 2000 watt hour power station for about one of the budget friendly ones for maybe about $900, $999, like the Alcatel goes on sale from time to time, and you could run your heater for a few hours. And if you get solar coming into it, then you could, of course, run it a little bit longer because you have power coming in. But typically any 1500 to 1800 watt power station will cover your fridge for sure. And the good thing is your fridge probably won't use a whole lot of power. It'll probably use like 150 watts an hour. But the thing is, you got to have that ability to get that compressor going, which is you're pretty safe with. Um, I would think you're pretty safe with 1500 watts. I've never had an issue because I run my whole house from power stations using suicide cords. I wouldn't advise that. I have a live stream on that where I talked about that in detail, and there's probably two of them. I say that to say that when I have my house running off of my power stations, my fridge can power on the majority of my 1500 watt uh, capable devices. But stuff around the house runs better when I have it on a 2000 watt inverter. I just noticed that it's like all these inverters aren't created equal. So my Duran has a 2000 watt inverter, and my AC 200P has a 2000 watt inverter. I'll smoke, and I'll revisit your question in a second. Um, and they do pretty good. My Blue 8 seems to perform the best, but it's a big three device, so I kind of expect that. The Duran does okay, but it doesn't have an easy way for me to power dump into them. So I think, I mean, you can't go wrong again with spending the $500 on the R1500. You absolutely can't go wrong. Even if that thing does not supply your needs in the way that you envision it, you still can't go wrong with having that device. You be able to get your feet wet into solar power production with a device that is very affordable. I mean, extremely affordable. It runs for about $900 and it's going for $500 today. I cannot stress enough how if you're thinking about taking a plunge on a device, that device, outside of having just like hardware issues, that device is a steal. Just the link is down in the comments. If you would be so kind to use my link. But if you're not into using people's links, I get it. No pressure. So explain the AC 200P volts and watts. The AC 200P is interesting because it cannot use a 12-volt panel. You have to have a 24-volt panel. And the difference between 12-volt and 24-volt is weird because a 12-volt panel kind of can go all the way up to about 26 volts, but it describes a range. So 12-volt is typically anywhere up to a certain amount of volts. And then a 24-volt panel can kind of go all the way up to, just consider it double, about 40, 50 volts. So um, the watts on the inverter is 2000 and the watt hours is about 2000. That's pretty much all there is to it. The only weird thing about it is that it needs at least two panels in series or it needs a 24-volt panel. When you put two 12-volt panels in series, you end up with about a 40-volt array because 12-volt panels typically sit at about 20 volts. So once you put them in series, you got 40 volts. Let's see. Don't forget about those rooster chicken heaters. I can't vouch for them, but sure. Byron Morris, who hangs out in the live stream when he can, he has a YouTube channel as well under that name. So check out Byron Morris's channel. I will link you to it, but I'm in a bit of a different space at the moment. He was talking about these little heaters that you could use, but I don't have any experience with them. I believe he has a video on his channel about them. I don't know how useful that video will be, but at least that's a way to go. Byron Morris, Byron, and then Morris is spelled exactly how it sounds with two R's and like an S. Good evening. What's up, John? What do you mean when you say what is that 300-watt panel? Did I mention the 300-watt panel? You mean the brand? If you're talking about brand, it's a Hyundai. I have like about 6 Hyundai panels. I have one Renogy panel, and they're all about 300 watts. I have 4 290s, 2 300s, and the Renogy is a 320. Yes, a whole playlist. I have a whole playlist about solar for beginners. You should definitely check it out. It's on the homepage of my channel. So if you go youtube.com/askivesolar, all one word, AskiveSolar, I'll have a playlist on my homepage that says Power Stations for Beginners or Solar for Beginners. You should definitely that 300-watt panel, the Elicanta, the folding panel, that one was 50 volts, I believe. I don't know. Did I say good evening, John? Folk use diesel biofuel heaters charged by solar diesel heaters are the best way to heat a home during a grid down powered by solar very cheaply. That's interesting. Do you have any content on your channel, Wayne, about that? Very cheap, safe way to get a home to heat a home shown on my page. So apparently Wayne has on his channel, Regenerative Life Wayne, he has videos about diesel heaters. The only exposure I have to diesel heaters is from van lifers, and it seems like a pain. But you know, maybe you're into that to keep your family warm. I did discover that as long as heat is gas is coming into my house, I can run my house heater. The fan uses about 500 watts, it seems. So I can run that in a pinch from my solar setups. And I have more than enough capacity to do that for a reasonable amount of time, especially since we don't need to run those joints a whole lot. And I also have two little small heaters. We have multiple small heaters, but I have two low powered heaters. One's 400 and one's 200. I have a live stream about winter somewhere out there, which has products and links in it. I may try and find that and put a link in here. You wouldn't need two 24-volt panels for the AC 200p. No. You wouldn't need two of those LED contour panels if that's what you're talking about. You wouldn't need two, no. You only need two 12-volt panels in series. Any type of 12-volt panel. You could have a 200-watt 12-volt panel, and you can't use it on the AC 200p. You have to have two of them, which kind of sucks. But the AC 200 Max and the AC 200L don't have that limitation. And the AC 200p was being sold by Light Harvest Solar for like $7.99 refurbished, which is decent. It's decent. Okay, what's John talking about? I have 10 100-watt used solar panels. I want to run them in series to reduce wire costs and loss. I paid $300 for them. I need a charge controller, inverter, and batteries on the cheap. I feel like Amazon is your friend in that situation. I don't do DIY, but you would probably want to do. Here's the thing about charge controllers, though. I always thought that charge controllers were these super capable, like, yeah, go that way, DIY, power stations kind of suck. You know, you want to build it yourself and so on and so forth. And I think back then that was true because a lot of power stations were not getting up to 150 volts of input limit. But these MPPT charge controllers are super limited. They only do 150 volts too. I was shocked because I want to try and combine more of my panels into um, a series parallel string just so I could cut down on some wires and be able to get it into one device where, you know, if I'm using my little specialty cables, my dangerous specialty cables, I could just run it from one device. I'm not saying that I would do that, but I could if I wanted to, and then manage the load appropriately. But these MPPT charge controllers or these charge controllers, they max out at 150 volts. The only thing that makes it worth considering to get away from power stations outside of the DIY nature of building your own system, which means, you know, you got a charge controller. If you have an issue, you can replace. You got a inverter. If you have an issue, you can replace it. If you got a battery problem, you have an issue, you can replace it. That's one of the only benefits to it now with these power stations having 150 volt input limits. That's it. You would have to go all in one. All in one is smoking everybody. And at some point, I'm probably going to do a live stream to talk about how I really need an all in one at some point. And maybe like Signature Solar, or I don't know if Santan would be it, but there was another one. The Signature Solar, or somebody could shoot me a joint so I could make a video just showing how beneficial those joints are if you have the capacity to like buy the battery and the all-in-one. The all-in-ones are really affordable, but you got to get like the 48-volt panel battery, which is cheap compared to what you would spend if you bought 5 kilowatt hours separately, right? And it's also cheaper than what you would get if you bought 5 kilowatt hours from a power station. So it's really not expensive, but it's like anything, you got to spend more money up front to reap the benefits of having a more robust system. So these charge controllers, they're okay. And again, to answer your question, I don't know. I feel like you could just find a charge controller on Amazon, a battery on Amazon, and an inverter on Amazon, and then get you some. You already got the panels. I imagine you would probably want to look at like a 5S2P configuration. I don't fully understand those letters. I mean, I know series, but I'm not sure how you're supposed to say them. You could do 5 100-watt panels in series, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 volts. And then you could put the other series of panels in parallel. So you would end up with a 100-volt, 10-amp array. 10 amps can easily be carried over probably 12-gauge wire at a certain length. Um, but if you wanted to start getting above like about 10 amps to go like 15 amps, you'd have to excuse me, sorry. You'd have to start thinking about fusing and things like that and going down to 10-gauge wire. But and I don't fully understand charge controllers, their ratings. I thought that they were going to be super capable, but they're not. They're just not. They'll be rated at like 40 amps. And then SETEC was kind of explaining to me that the 40 amps is not necessarily related to how much solar they can take in, but how much power they push to the battery. But I don't know. We were both just kind of like looking it over, trying to figure out what the amp rating on a charge controller means. All right, let's see. What else? Yeah, I'm more happy with the mini batteries, but that's less about brand and more about form factor. But yeah, they work fine. I don't think I know Solar will test a battery, and his hope is that it'll get the full 100 amp hours. But when he's tested those, like, you know what are those DIY cells, he used to buy those cells and he kind of wrap them together with tape and all that jazz. I honestly, I mean, I don't. Let me say this. I don't understand. I mean, I get it, but it never bothered me if a battery got like 98 watt hours or 99 watt amp hours instead of 100 or 101 or 102. It's just like, especially on a 12-volt battery, 12 volts for each amp hour you lose is 12 watts, right? Yeah. Yes, 12 times 100 is how you get your watts. So 12 point something volts or 14 point something volts or 13 point something volts times 100 amp hours is how you get your 1280 watt hours. But I get, from a quality control standpoint, if you order a brand new battery, then you want your 100 amp hours. But I've just never been bothered by that. So even as these batteries may start to degrade, it's like they're fine with me. It's 1,200 watt hours for $300. I have no problems with that. So yeah, they work fine. I've never had an issue with them. I charge them from the wall all the time. I don't charge them from solar anymore because I'd rather have my power go into a power station which has an inverter, USB, 12 volt in them. But I use them as power dumps as is necessary. But I like those mini form factors a lot better. Yeah, I'm a fan. I wish they would send me the one with the hub. That would be nice to have that stuff built in. Oh, that's what's up. That playlist will get you right, Sapphire. That's for sure. Yes, I do. I have 3 diesel heaters. I use and make my own biofuel. That's what's up. I get free cooking use off from restaurants in my area. And so my diesel heater fuels cost me nothing. I have 3, no problems at all. That's so interesting. I was watching some show. Um, I was watching like a reel, and somebody was talking about how that car runs off of biofuel and how they get it from restaurants. It's almost like you benefit from something not being super popular with the masses, because once it gets super popular with the masses, then you won't necessarily be able to roll up to a restaurant maybe and get the stuff. It's interesting. I don't know why I left that on the screen. In series, my 10 panels would be less than 250 volts. Is there any power station that takes not solar? Nah, no power station will take that much power in. What you will have to do is get an all-in-one. Those all-in-ones can take in up to 500 volts of power. The not the base model ones. A lot of those cheaper all-in-ones, they're no better than power stations. They have the 150 volt input limit. Some of them even have 60 volt input limits. And I was just like, at that point, what are you really messing around with an all-in-one for? Um, but I feel like if you got the right kind of batteries, then you could make an all-in-one work super easy. Let's see. Will took the prepared apart and found big problems. Which Dr. Prepare? I think that was a while ago. He may have gotten another one, but don't get me to making stuff up. I purchased a charge inverter from Signature Solar, 48 volt, 100 amp. I wish I was the kind of person who could benefit from that charge inverter, because that thing seems super cool. It just seems super cool. I don't know what I would use it for, because my understanding is it's supposed to take generator power and make it more clean. Um, that was like the main thing they were pitching it as. But I think it has some other implications, in just the fact that you could simply just use wall power to charge a battery and have no problems. But don't get me to making stuff up. Okay, okay, yeah, I follow you. Anyway, it's really good to see you after a long time, bro. Time to go to the office. Oh man, that's cool. I'm intrigued by your life, considering you live in another country. I'm always intrigued by the way people live, so I'm curious about how far you have to go to work and all that jazz. That's why I was telling you when we first talked, it'd be more interesting if people knew like your backstory and why you were into this stuff, because I feel like that endears people to you. Story is very important in building a bond with people. Um, but I wish you well, man. I hope the job works out, continues to work out, and that it's fulfilling. That's what's up. Um, Shoot, I had something else. Oh, last thing I want to talk to y'all about. Let me get a link. Or let me just tell you. It hit me that I could buy some twist ties. They have heavy duty twist ties. So I want to play around with the idea of grabbing some twist ties to hang panels from my balcony, because right now I have 2 rock pals um, panels, and I may be giving one away. I'm trying to figure out which 100-watt panel to give away to one of my viewers who could use it. And I like having the rock panels. They're not my favorite panels to deploy because, again, like I was saying earlier, it's 2 100-watt panels. So whenever I have to deploy them, I have to pull both of them out. One has a super long cable, longer than the other one. And I really don't like having them. But this is why I give stuff away, because if I don't give it away, I will use it, especially if it's convenient. Now, my flexible panels are not as convenient to deploy, so I don't pull those out as often. And plus, I got like just a ton of panels out there. But those Rock Pals folding ones, it's good to have them both together because they are both Anderson. So I have an Anderson parallel cable, so I could put both of those panels in together and get a decent amount of power no matter what I deploy. And it's not great, but it's extra power. Right now I have them hooked into my EcoFlow, my OG EcoFlow River. And it's just up there, and I use it every now and then to like throw some power into the power station that runs the little TV in my room when my wife watches TV. or they'll charge up my kids' power stations, the GoLabs i200 or the GoLabs R300 or the Sevcom's 256 watt hour joint that we mainly use for like night lights and things like that. So I've been thinking about getting some twist ties and using those in a couple carabiners to just hang the panels vertically off my balcony. Because right now what they're doing is they're laying flat. You know, it's winter, they're not getting great power. But if I was able to lay them vertically, they would be able to get decent power, and then they wouldn't. Um, I'm sorry. They wouldn't necessarily be laying flat anymore, and they would be more so facing the sun. Now, my sun is not incredibly low in the sky right now. It's not as low as it's gonna get. It's pretty low, but I don't think it's as low as it's gonna get. But I think that that would be cool because then I could hang them off the front of my balcony, um, and then I could hang them off. Well, let me say this: I could hang them off the east facing side of my balcony in the mornings and get some good sun, because that area is the first to get sun. Everything else will have shade on it until a certain time. And then I can hang them facing south to get more sun, because right now how they're configured is this panel, 100 watt panel, is stretched out across my balcony, and then this panel is on the, this is the east facing, this is the kind of south facing. So for a small portion of the day they both have power on them, but they're put in this place so that this one will get sun in the morning and this one will get sun in the evening. They're bonus panels, so I just kind of deal with it. Ideally, what I would do is I just have one panel up there and then I'll just move it halfway through the day. But since I have two and I don't use them, I just threw them up there to get some power. But these twist ties, I guess I would try and show you. Some people are just like visual. So heavy duty twist ties. And the only reason why I didn't buy any recently is because I was kind of trying to figure out if I could find some that were more UV resistant. And then I had to deal with the fact of like, well, do I trust if they're UV resistant? Because the cheap twist ties that we get, they just fall apart after you put them in the sun for a little bit. They just all fall apart. Let's see, heavy duty twist ties. No, I don't want twist ties. I'm sorry. I want heavy duty zip ties. So yeah, look at this. Oh, this one says UV. It's $21 though. I ain't trying to spend that much. That's crazy. This is kind of like up my alley right here. It says it could support 120 pounds. Whether you believe that or not, that's still crazy. I mean, the average 100 watt panel weighs what? I don't even know. What do they weigh? I know one thing, these two panels from Bourgeois that I got, these flexible panels, they weigh like 4 pounds. So that's something that I would entertain laying off of my balcony with zip ties as well. I think they'd be out of the way. I don't think my wife would have as much of an issue with them being kind of out of the way. So I'm really interested in getting into these zip ties to put panels up on my balcony. And that's just optional, you know what I mean? It's just extra power. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Light bulb is making noise. So heavy duty zip ties up to 100 something pounds. I think that's pretty cool to hang them. And I know people do pretty creative stuff. But again, flexible panels are not my thing, so I don't prioritize them. But because I have those because I have those folding panels up there and it's winter, if I just stretch them out, and I like vertical because then I could put two panels side by side and it would take up less space. So in reality, across my balcony, I could actually have like 4 panels. I don't know if that would necessarily work, because I got the two Bruges RVs. They could probably fit up there. I could probably fit like 3 going vertical. Versus if you went horizontal, then they would take up the whole space. You wouldn't be able to put 2, and I would still end up with 2 panels out of the way. Instead of being like this, they'd be like this, kind of facing out towards the sun. But I like the fact of going vertical because then those panels are just out of the way boom, dizzle, they're getting sun. It's all good. So I may order some tonight. I probably will. I'm gonna order this. How many of these? 100 pieces, rated up to 120 pounds. I don't believe that, but like I said, these panels aren't heavy. Even my 320-watt panels, they're like 50 pounds at best. So I think rigid panels are probably like 20 pounds or something like that. Yes, you plug it in the generator and then to your lithium battery or inverter, or you could plug it right into the 240 wall plug, and then your batteries are inverted to charge. Okay, I got you. My EG4 300-watt 48-volt inverters have 500 volts of input from solar. Yeah, it's crazy. They're crushing everything. Hey, Radiant, what's happening? Season's greetings to you too. um, how are you? How are you and your folks? How are things going? Some pretty good deals that I found online. So if you can jump back to the beginning, that would be great. That's all I got. If y'all don't have any questions, oh wow, thanks, Miss Queen. Miss Queen, I was just on your channel. Thank you very much. I don't want to move past that. I appreciate that greatly. My wife is go get them zip ties. All you needed to add, and there was, boy, go get some of them zip ties. Thank you very much. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. But I was just on your channel maybe about like 2-3 weeks ago, just seeing. I'm always checking to see if you're doing something new every now and then. But yeah, that's what's up. What's going on with you too? I feel like you got to give me an update. What's happening? What's happening? What's going on? Give me an update, please. That'd be great. I feel like you could email me too if you want to keep it like, off the interwebs. Anybody have any questions? Because that's all I got. So may I ask this? So if the generator says EB70, that means it would operate the EB70. That's what that means. That's not always the case. Sometimes power stations will give you a numbering scheme based on the inverter's ability versus the watt hours capacity. So the EB70 has a 700 watt inverter. They like to say that it's 800. Well, whatever. I couldn't get it to do more than 700. And then it has a 714 watt hour capacity. Watch that playlist. That playlist is gonna get you right. You're gonna really have. I'm not bragging, but I've been told this all my life that I explain things very well in terms of like how just regular people can understand things. So you definitely need to mess with that playlist. I add videos to that. I'm going to look for your videos that one mentioned in the chat. Let me grab the playlist for you. Give me a second. Let's see here. Oh, Jason Noy did a video on the new Delta joint. I have to check that out. All right, Ask I Solars. I thought about putting a space in between my Ask and I. Somebody was calling me Ask LVE, and I was just like, that ain't it, bro. I'm not mad at him for that, but I was like, yeah, that ain't it. But that's what it looks like. Okay, share, copy. Boom. So that's the playlist for beginners. And then also, Sapphire, you can email me, solarquestions@askive.com. I'm also on Facebook under Ask I Solar. I'm on Instagram under Ask I Solar. And then, like I said, you could just old-fashioned email me, solarquestions@askive.com if you have any questions. But watch the playlist first, because that'll help a lot. I'm sleepy. Hey, babe, Miss Queen said hello. Mrs. Queen, I'm sorry. She said, hey. Mrs. Queen, put some respect on your missus. You know what I mean? All right, guys, I'm going to get on out of here. The chat will stay live for a little bit. If you have a question after the live stream that comes to mind, just put a comment on the video. I'm probably trying to put a thumbnail up on this. I will leave it out there. I thought about just deleting it, but y'all be beautiful, man. Grant Acres, if you're still around, I feel like text me and we could talk about that 100-watt panel. All right. I just reached Persistence, my long-awaited second album, Poetry and Music. That's what's up. Did you release it? Is it like, where is it? Radiant Jasmine? Where can people check it out? Thank you, Sapphire. I appreciate that. I'm waiting for Radiant Jasmine to tell us where her album can be found. She says Poetry and Music. That's dope. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Don't end it. Let me see if it's over here. Not quite. Thank you, Grand Acres. All right. I feel like the live stream comments will stay live a few minutes longer. So, Radiant Jasmine, if you want to, or tell me where you are, and then I could link it or something. I feel like if people are interested, they could go check it out. But I'm in the stream, but I'm still around. Y'all be beautiful.